So in the Initiative for Heritage Conservation, we're trying to provide current and future heritage managers with the skills they need in order to do their jobs better for the benefit of heritage internationally. The Executive Leadership Series in Heritage Management provides current heritage managers, professionals who are managing sites, museums, intangible or tangible heritage assets all over the world with the skills they need in a short format. So in 3-day or 4-day intensive workshops at a very, very high level with very high quality professionals.
We're thrilled to be able to teach a wide cross-section of heritage managers from a number of countries about the basics of fundraising. And that includes, how do you actually solicit a gift from someone, from an individual, for example? How do you figure out which corporations or foundations might be appropriate targets for your nonprofit? How do you do that research? How do you talk about your nonprofit in a way that attracts people first to follow you or volunteer for you, and then to actually donate money to your cause? We call that the case for support.
So the workshop is about teaching future and current leaders of nonprofit organizations how best to raise money online, offline, from grant makers, from ordinary citizens, from very wealthy people, thinking about it all strategically with planning, purpose, and great intent.
What I do basically is to focus on a project which takes place in southwest Turkey, and I work with archaeologists and in archaeological sites to make these sites economically viable for local communities, to introduce a kind of soft tourism so that they can make some profits out of these sites.
So I'm coming from a history museum of Bosnia and Herzegovina from Sarajevo, which is a museum with 70 years old tradition. But we can see that living in a post-war, post-conflict society with many consequences, the museum is one of the collaterals of such situations. And I personally applied for this workshop entitled or dealing with fundraising for a situation that I already explained about the museum being in the position not to be funded. So that means that we have to think of other ways, of alternative ways of getting funding for the museum, even for the basic rights.
Through that programs, we are giving the opportunities to young people to learn more about the history, about the place and about the heritage. And more they know about the place where they are living, more they love it, more they are likely to stay there and to make their own activities or businesses.
So part of the main, I will say, motivation to come here is, I will say, recession going on the last 7 years in Europe or around the world, which put more influence or press on museums to have self-sustainable. In that sense, fundraising is becoming more and more essential for all of them.
Heritage sites are often restored, and then 20 years later they need to be restored again. With better management, the sites have a chance of being sustainable for the longer run, and that includes better management practices given to archaeologists that come to sites to manage them as archaeologists and end up also managing the organizations around the sites. And since the organizations are very often nonprofits or NGOs, they need to know about fundraising.
Working for governmental institution puts me in the position to be aware, to see that heritage is hard to protect, because there is a lot of money that must be invested in cultural heritage. Now I know that there are so many possibilities for fundraising, and now I know how it is done, for example, in states, and the fact that those methodologies can be transferred into Bosnia.
Even if you're a small organization, the way many of these heritage sites and museums are, you need to know what's happening in fundraising, because in some sense, you're competing for dollars with those larger institutions, and you need to know the latest about what's happening in fundraising.
This workshop was very inspiring. For us, it's very important to raise the funds on a global level, because coming from the small country which was in the last years pretty much affected by the global financial crisis, we need to be open and we have to look over the borders.
So it helped me a lot to really open up and to discuss with colleagues very concrete and detailed things on issues of fundraising that I can start applying from Monday already.
In 3 days you can have basics and you are really prepared to do, I will say, small-scale projects on your own.
The exchange of knowledge and experience with other colleagues from the region and from Western Europe were very precious to me. Now I know what are the problems, and some things can be solved. We can solve them together. We can exchange knowledge, experience, contacts.
So it was for me quite crucial to be here and to take part of this fundraising workshop, because sometimes it seems very straightforward and banal, but then when you are within a group who's engaged and who's doing something that is similar to yours, then you see the points that needs to be raised, and I'm sure I'm taking quite a lot of things back home, and it has been very helpful.
The secret sauce is to have a good mission statement, to have a good story about the organization, an authentic story about why this, why now, why us, and so what. And if that is conveyed with brevity and passion, storytelling is really the new fundraising today.
The professionalization of fundraising basically means not only getting more money for your assets, but it also means doing it properly, doing it better, with respect to what you're managing, with respect to your collection and the heritage that you're looking after.